Well, there's definitely a lull in the Jason department, but thankfully we have movies like In a Violent Nature to make up for it. So anyway, let's review. In a Violent Nature stars Rye Barrett, Andrea Pavlovic, Cameron Love, and is directed by Chris Nash. What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2024 review. We're going to review In a Violent Nature. This movie is highly anticipated by myself. I'm sure by many of you. There's been a lot of buzz about this movie over the past, maybe a couple months, something like that. IFC, I'm always watching what they're doing because they always put out very interesting movies. You know, you got freaking IFC, you got A24, you got Neon. Those three studios, I'm always paying attention to what they're doing. You know, this is one of those movies where you always hear this legend of it before it even comes out. You know, there were like early screenings of it, and of course, somebody threw up. And anytime something like that happens, we got to run with it, marketing wise. We need to make sure the horror audience knows that you could possibly throw up or jump out a window or something like that if you watch this movie. And of course, what do? We flock right to the theater. I can handle it, right? And that's what we say. So I'm going to make this spoiler free, but I'm going to tell you if I felt like, I saw something that I'd never seen before. We'll get to that. But first, let's just talk about the actual story of the movie. I'm going to give you a quick plot synopsis. So there's this collapsed fire tower, right? And I guess in the past, I think like 60 years ago, this character, Johnny, who was this killer, this fire tower collapsed on top of him, entombing him, all right? Pretty much killing him. This movie definitely has like a supernatural nature to it. And there's this locket, and if you steal the locket, then he awakens, and that's what he does in this movie. I love stuff like that, And what's cool about this is when he awakens, he's war-torn, and you see like an axe mark in his shoulder, and his face is just like mangled. You see a lot of the back of him. I'm thinking of like Marcellus from Pulp Fiction, because the camera is just following him, constantly walking, and very much like It Follows. So you're definitely thinking of movies like It Follows, Friday the 13th, big time. But I think this goes even harder than Friday. I think Friday is just more fun with the kills, whereas this one, I don't know if fun's the word. It's very creative with the kills, but I think there's one kill that takes the cake over everything else, and I'm not going to tell you what the kill is because I want you guys to enjoy it yourself, but it's like there's this scene with this young person doing yoga. I think part of the fun of this movie, too, is him walking towards his prey, and you are kind of there in real time knowing what's going to happen, or is it going to happen, And yeah, we've seen the killer's point of view, so many times, but not to this level, not staying focused on the back of the killer for so long, I'm not saying the whole movie does that, but a good portion of the movie does that. And it is monotonous, but I think it's monotonous in a good way because you're locked in. You want to see what he's going to do. What's cool is like he doesn't have his fireman's mask until a certain point in the movie, and you get to witness him, gaining access to that mask. There's these moments where we will pause and we'll hear some characters talking. Like there's this one where you got this spinning camera slowly going around this campfire, and they talk about the legend of Johnny. Very much like Friday the 13th Part 2 at the beginning when he's talking about the legend of Jason. And then later in the movie, the last half especially, it takes a little bit of a shift, and you're even like following other characters. And I'm not going to go into any spoilers as to why you follow other characters. I'm not even going to tell you if there is a final girl or a final guy in this movie. I mean, obviously, he's killing people. You need people to kill. There's going to be a last person that he kills, and maybe a person that lives. I'm not going to tell you, okay? So I think some of this stuff you're gonna assume and figure out on your own. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, does it prop up any certain character early in the movie for you to root for? Let's talk about the kills for a little bit. Yeah, I think there's a good, abundant amount of kills in this. Is it bloody? Hell yes. Is it creative? Hell yeah. At least that one kill that I'm talking about, the yoga kill, you're definitely going to be thinking about that. That's definitely not going to leave your head. And there's a couple of other kills in here too that are really gnarly, you know, and really creative, and maybe stuff you've never seen before. And I think it's the waiting for the victim to get killed that even adds to it. You know, it's not all the time just a quick, abrupt thing. Sometimes, okay, now we're going to get into a kill. When is it going to happen? You know, they've already started the process of killing the person. But the scene, the way it plays out, sometimes this killer's patient. But he is more like a mindless type of killer. He is a Jason Voorhees. He is a Michael Myers. Even though those two killers are vastly different in my mind, even though they're just silent. He's definitely more like Jason, I would think. But Jason's faster than this guy. This is like almost like zombie speed. You know, that's the way he walks, which is cool. So, you know, you're definitely going to compare this to Friday, but it's not Friday. It has its own vibe to it, which I really dug, actually. It definitely has an artistic touch to it. Now, jumping into some cons here, the characters are nothing special. The characters are pretty much fodder for the killer. I don't think there's any character in this movie that you're going to be like, oh my God, this character has to go on a list of, like, you know, greatest characters in horror. No, not at all. It's not about that at all. They're serviceable, but they're forgettable. Luckily, I wasn't really watching this movie for that. I mean, yeah, I always want really good characters in movies, but I guess what I'm trying to say is at least the killer stuff and the killer himself was very interesting. And that's what kept my attention throughout the whole movie. I don't know if this is a movie that's highly rewatchable. I don't know. I can't answer that yet. Maybe I end up watching it down the line again and I do get hooked into it. I'm not sure. It does kind of leave you cold after you finish watching it. There's nothing funny about this at all. And the characters in, like, Friday movies are very fun, right? Especially those early movies, the Paramount years. I just want to hang out with those characters. Whereas the characters in this movie, they're just, like I said, they're just really forgettable. Now, I promised you that I was going to let you know if I felt like I wanted to throw up after that kill. No, not at all. I thought it was interesting, but it didn't, like, get under my skin and creep me out all night and then make me never want to review. Now, I thought I could watch the kill over and over, honestly. It's really cool to look at. But is this Terrifier? No, I don't think this is Terrifier at all. You know, the Terrifier movies, I think they are the gold standard in terms of gross kills. Really going for it in terms of the kills. I think this is it's creative, but Terrifier, man, oh my God, there's a whole freaking buffet of creative kills, especially in Terrifier 2. So I'm going to give this movie a high humdrum, which is kind of disappointing because my expectations for this movie were massive. You know, I wanted this movie to be like top 3 favorite horror movies of the year. It's not top 3, but it's definitely in, you know, it'll be in my top 10 of the year horror-wise for sure. I'd be shocked if it's not. It is really good, and you know what? It might deserve a low purchase worthy. But right now, for now, I'll stick with a high humdrum. All right. I definitely want you guys to check it out, and I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comments. All right. So yeah, In a Violent Nature. What do you guys think? Let me know. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, Woody Free for Fridays. Follow me Drumdums on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Buy me a coffee. Become a channel member. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Drumdum out.